All right, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence, YORDENIS Ugas, and Teddy Atlas, who is behaving like just the perfect example of media bias for Manny Pacquiao. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. I got to do this video about Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence Jr., YORDENIS Ugas, because Teddy Atlas said some things in a video that I thought were absolutely hilarious, and I was waiting for somebody to say. Before I get into that, though, thank you so much for watching the video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel, share the video, like the video. It really does go a long way towards helping the channel grow. So Teddy Atlas, who is, a world-renowned trainer, has been around a long time, has fought, trained a lot of people, trained Mike Tyson, trained Tim Bradley later on in his career, and he has a podcast called, I think it's The Fight Game with Teddy Atlas, where he breaks down different fights and different fighters. But he is somebody that has been in the boxing media and was covering fights for ESPN for a very long time. So he is just like the perfect example of media and their fascination with Manny Pacquiao. So he comes out and says something that absolutely, man, just reminds me how in love the mainstream media is with Manny Pacquiao, to the point where they can see something with their eyes and absolutely positively ignore it. He says that he believed that Manny Pacquiao looked excellent in that fight with Errol Spence Jr. with YORDENIS Ugas. He was that, he looked like he was a special fighter, and all he just kept repeating like he's a special fighter, he's a special fighter. And then he went on to say that Errol Spence Jr. and Manny Pacquiao might have been a very different fight than Ugas and Manny Pacquiao, and that Errol Spence Jr. might have won the fight against Errol Spence Jr., because Errol Spence Jr. is the type of fighter that, he fights different. The saying that styles make fights. So if you have one fighter that may look good against somebody but not look good against the other, it's the reason why like triangle theories don't happen in boxing. Like one of the, really don't work in boxing. You can have like a guy that is a boxer that would do better against somebody that is a puncher. Then you have a boxer puncher that may not do as well against the puncher. So you just have, the way that somebody fights can really dictate what goes on in the fight. And so Teddy Atlas was theorizing that Errol Spence Jr., because he fights different than YORDENIS Ugas, it could have been a different result for Manny Pacquiao. And he didn't just go ahead and admit that, look, man, this guy is 42 years old. He says that he's 42 years old, but in the tone of his voice, you just hear this love affair that he has with Manny Pacquiao. And I'm telling you, it's that love affair that the media and the fans have for these fighters that are going to turn around and get these fighters hurt, because they start listening to this stuff and believing that it's true. Yes, Errol Spence Jr. does fight differently than YORDENIS Ugas, but that doesn't mean that that Errol Spence Jr. couldn't have taken advantage of the same things that YORDENIS Ugas took advantage of in that fight. I personally think that he would have, and actually I think that he would have done it much more severely. But in Teddy Atlas's thinking, he thinks that it's like, okay, YORDENIS Ugas is not as aggressive as Errol Spence Jr. So where YORDENIS Ugas was very patient with Manny Pacquiao and keeping Manny Pacquiao on the, to the outside, catching him with jabs, catching him with, hooks around his guard, right? Going to the body and then stepping off, right? And not really giving Manny Pacquiao any holes or anything to see. Teddy Atlas is like, well, if YORDENIS Ugas would have fought differently, if he would have fought more aggressively, then that's more opportunities for Manny Pacquiao to counterpunch. It's more opportunities for Manny Pacquiao, to take advantage of any type of mistake that could be made by YORDENIS Ugas. So he says that, if you look at the way that Errol Spence Jr. fights, Errol Spence Jr. is much more inclined to really press the action and push and push and push against Manny Pacquiao. And as a result, he had more opportunities to make mistakes, open up his guard, maybe, get caught in a, get caught while he's trying to counter him, all that good stuff, man. But to me, that just sounds like, wishful thinking. And all I can really go off of is the facts and the things that I saw in the ring. And then that is that it really does, at this point in time, it really doesn't matter who Manny Pacquiao, well, I guess it does matter who he fights, but at that upper echelon of fighters, if these guys are in their prime, and they are going to have significant advantages over Manny Pacquiao. And specifically, Errol Spence Jr., I think, would have just absolutely, bulldozed him at a certain point in time, because Errol Spence Jr. isn't somebody that leaves a lot of openings. He's not somebody that is really loose with his defense or inclined to be overly aggressive. And he has shown that in the last several fights. He fought Mikey Garcia very similar to the way that he fought that YORDENIS Ugas fought Manny Pacquiao, right? Everybody thought that in the fight with Mikey Garcia that Errol Spence Jr. was going to go balls to the walls on him, really try to get him out of there, and that's not what happened. He played it and boxed him from the outside, used his length, right? Used his southpaw stance to keep him to keep Mikey Garcia at bay. And anytime Mikey Garcia wanted to, try to get a rally going, Manny Pacquiao just stepped off, and there was no rally to be gotten. There was no way for him to steal the rounds or anything like that, where Mikey Garcia probably would have preferred it if Errol Spence was more aggressive, so that Mikey could slip in some scoring shots, some countering scoring shots, or at the end of the round that he might be able to, step up the gas, throw a flurry of punches and steal the round and get to the end of the fight, right? That kind of old man game that takes place when you have one fighter that has more experience than the other. But to me, it's just absolutely ridiculous to think that Manny Pacquiao, at the age of 42, and as slow as his hands looked, as slow as his feet looked, was going to be able to overcome that. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm telling you, this is the type of stuff that gets boxers hurt, because you're not telling them the truth in what you actually see. So Freddie Roach talked about, the fact that he didn't see any adjustments from Manny Pacquiao during the fight. Well, Manny Pacquiao, said himself he didn't make any adjustments, but whose fault is that he didn't make any adjustments? Manny Pacquiao's been in the boxing ring for 26 years. He's been a pro for 26 years. He doesn't necessarily need, he shouldn't need Freddie Roach to tell him what adjustments to make in a boxing ring when Manny Pacquiao, like I said, is a quarter century in the boxing ring. But Teddy Atlas puts the blame on Freddie Roach and says Freddie Roach didn't do what Freddie Roach was supposed to do. And maybe, what do you expect him to get? To get a new trainer and bring in a new trainer that's going to help him make adjustments in the fight? The next fight that he's going to have, he's going to be that much older and that much more susceptible to a younger fighter with speed. Like they say, speed kills, power, speed. Timing is everything. But Manny Pacquiao, his timing was gone. His speed was gone. And as a result of his timing and his speed being gone, the impact of his punches were not, they didn't shock YORDENIS Ugas. They wound up swelling up his eye, but they didn't shock him, So all in all, man, I just think that, the excuses pile up for Manny Pacquiao. Some of them Manny Pacquiao comes up with himself. Sometimes the media, gives him an assist and gives him one. And this is one of those incidences because, man, for real, Errol Spence Jr., at least my opinion, would have steamrolled Manny Pacquiao in that fight. So anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.